I'm Dr. Anthony Harper here, blessed to be talking with my good friend, Mr. Avi Lipkin from Israel. Thank you, Mr. Lipkin, for joining me and to talk about the exciting development in the Knesset regarding Jews and Christians being in leadership there. So, Mr. Lipkin, what is the latest on, I know in English it's called the Bible Bloc Party?
Correct. The party was recognized officially on May the 15th, which is actually Israel's Independence Day, the secular date, not the Jewish date, the secular date. So we've been recognized almost 2 weeks now. Now we have to roll up our sleeves and start campaigning.
Okay. When do you expect for this legislation to go into effect for candidates to be on the list, and the soonest a candidate, specifically a Christian candidate, could be in there?
Yeah. Well, as I told you before the taping of this program, my program all along has been that 50% of my candidates will be Jews and 50% of my candidates will be Christians, and it'll be on an alternating mode. In other words, you have to have 45,000 votes per member of Knesset. Israel is one constituency, and so if you divide up the population, or the population of voters, by 120 members of Knesset, it comes out to about 47,000 votes per member of Knesset. And there is a threshold law which says that if you don't get at least 145,000 votes, you don't get in at all.
Okay.
So if I get 145,000 votes, then my candidate list starts with me as number one. I have a Christian Arabic speaker as number two. Number three will be a Jew, and number four will be, again, a Christian. In other words, if we get 145,000 votes plus another 45,000 votes, then we get the fourth candidate in, and then again, every 45,000 votes we get number 5, number 6, number 7, etc. And because the Christian population in Israel is 100,000 Arabic-speaking Christians and 300,000 Russian-speaking Christians, we have a pretty good potential of 400,000. I think a lot of Jews will vote for the party also, because our party's ideology is based on the Bible and Western civilization and democracy. So it'll be interesting to see who votes for us in the elections in November of 2019.
Along with that, there's really there's been a major development, and you are part of that, for Christians to have more of a voice. I know, obviously, the Christian population in Israel is probably less than 1%. But there are some major...
No. The Christian population is 2% Arabic Christian and 6% Russian, Ukrainian, Ethiopian Christian. So The total of 8% of our population is not Jewish, it's Christian.
Well, along with this new development, I just was reading in the Jerusalem Post, Mr. Lipkin, about Prime Minister Netanyahu's just recently hired, has a new deputy social media advisor that is, he proclaims himself a Jew who loves Jesus. Now, this is a big advancement that the Prime Minister would let someone like this to be in his inner circle. His name is, I think you pronounce it, Hanania Naftali. He's a popular Israel advocate online.
Naftali.
Naftali. And according to this
Jerusalem... By the way, if he says he loves Jesus, by the way, I love Jesus also, but I'm not a Christian. In other words, you can love Jesus and not necessarily be a Christian. So I would have to check to see exactly what is... it doesn't matter to me if he is a Christian or Messianic, that's fine. But I'm just saying, just to be very careful, that a Jew who loves Jesus is not a Christian necessarily.
Well, I want to go further along in the Jerusalem Post report. It says, in one video, he calls himself a Christian. And further,
then he is a Messianic.
Yes,
yeah.
and that he read the Bible and shared Jesus.
Right.
He says further, I'm not part of any cult. In this video, Jerusalem Post makes a comment about, and further that I'm not part of the Messianic Judaism denomination. So a little bit confusing here, but very clearly he's identifying with being a Messianic Jew in many places.
Okay, wonderful. Messianics are great people. Okay, I have a Messianic candidate in my party, Professor David Friedman, who, I don't know if you know him, but he was professor at Jerusalem Bible College.
Okay, well, of course, the same name is the U.S. ambassador to Israel, David Friedman. This not the
Right,
same
right. He gets a lot of telephone calls from people thinking he's the ambassador.
right. And who, by the way, Mr. Lipkin, I did meet with when I was at the airport waiting for the Vice President Pence to show up in January. But we really have some major developments that, me and many other Christians appreciate you, Mr. Lipkin, for paving the way here for this freedom in the Knesset to have Christian candidates as well, who we've talked about before. Have blessed Israel in a mighty way. It's the Christian religion is helped tremendously Israel, and even the Prime Minister recognizes that in his special call for a Christian media summit last October.
Yes, well, I'll tell you something. It says in Genesis 12, verse 3, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. So I've come to the conclusion that if there are Christians who bless Israel, we better bless them back, because that's what God says he's going to do. If God says, I'll bless those who bless you, and the Christians bless us, and then we don't bless them back, I don't think God's going to be very happy with us, will he?
Not very happy at all. And,
it's scriptural that we should love each other.
Well, we should love each other, and, it's very clear that God of Israel is showing his tolerance for his patience with us because we fail so often.
Yes. All human beings are sinners and scoundrels. What can I say?
Right. So, for more information, Mr. Lipkin, people can check out what you're involved with there about the party. What website would you like to give people?
Well, I have Avi Lipkin and the Bible Bloc Party is a good one, and then I have my personal one, which is Dennis Avi Lipkin. And that's Facebook. The two of those are on Facebook. Okay. I'm very busy on Facebook. And I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Messenger. And I also have I have a regular website, www.avilipkin.net. We haven't yet done a website for the party, per se. There was no point to doing it until the party was recognized. Now that the party's recognized, we've got to build a website for the party also.
Okay, so the soonest that we're going to get some candidates up there, and the next campaign, the next election is what date?
Officially November 2019.
And is that the election where the Prime Minister is up for election, or?
Yeah, everything is up. Everything is on the table.
Okay. And regarding Prime Minister Netanyahu, where do you see him standing in the next election for him to stay in?
Oh, listen, Prime Minister Netanyahu is more popular today than ever before, but he's dogged by all these court proceedings, and so we will have to see what comes out of it. Personally, I think that the court proceedings are not going to go into effect until after the elections. Because if it goes before the elections, then he may have to resign if he's brought before, charges are brought before him. There are different levels legally that I'm not really an expert to speak about it. But I will say one thing. In my opinion, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is the right man in the right place at the right time, and I think he's God's chosen for what he's doing. Unfortunately, there are some cases, legal cases, which are being filed against him. So we'll just have to see where that all goes.
Now, that reminds me of the cases filed against President Trump.
You know what? You're right. I see tremendous similarities personally and ideologically between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Christians are praying for the Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump, and they're under tremendous attack legally, and with the help of God of Israel, the efforts will be confused and thwarted. And I really like this Old Testament Bible story, Mr. Lipkin, where in the case of Gideon, God sends confusion amongst the enemy, Israel's enemy, and they turn against each other.
Right. That's also in 2 Chronicles chapter 20, about the three armies that marched on Jerusalem, and they all got the plague, and they self-destructed. So, right. Yes, God seems to do that. I think today in modern history, we see the Sunnis and Shiites at each other, killing each other, which breaks my heart that human beings kill each other, but those who follow the devil, Allah, have a tendency to kill each other, in addition to killing everybody else whenever they can.
Well, calling Allah a devil is not too accepting in the Arabic world, is it?
Well, you know what? I already have a 3-year jail sentence in Switzerland for saying that. I also say Islam is not a religion, but a criminal psychosis bent on the destruction of the entire human race, because the Islamic agenda calls for killing the Jews on Saturday, Christians on Sunday, the Hindus, the Buddhists, and the blacks any day. And then, of course, the Sunnis and Shiites go at each other. So what kind of religion is it where everybody has to kill each other? Satan has always said that he was greater than God. And the only way to prove that Satan is greater than God is by every human being dying, because we're in the image of God. As long as there are human beings on the face of the earth, Satan cannot say he's greater than God. So Satan's plan is to kill every human being on the face of the earth, and I see that in Islam.
Well, we are blessed to know, Mr. Lipkin, that Satan gets it in the end, and all those that follow him, eternal destruction. People may think that they're winning the war here, but wait till they meet the creator of the universe on Judgment Day, Right.
And you know what? The good thing about you and me is we both know who's going to win in the end, and God's going to win.
Yes. No, I so appreciate you, Mr. Lipkin. Encourage people to check out you on the internet to get some more details and to pray for this new party, for Christian candidates to have a voice there. That would be very historic. And once you said the date for the election is November 19th, and is this the year 2019?
Right. I don't know if it's November 19th, but it's 2019. Now, again, it could be brought up if there's a no confidence vote in the Knesset. The elections could be brought up even to this coming January. But at this point, elections are still officially for November 2019.
Well, let's pray that they will be on schedule for the year 2019, and the Prime Minister will win a landslide victory, as well as and freedom from all these attacks, and that President Trump will get freedom from the attacks of Special Prosecutor Mueller, who seems to be on a vindictive a rampage against Trump for firing his good friend Comey, FBI director. But it is very troubling what's happening in the political area, and we know that the God of Israel is in control. So,
one of the things that really bothered me from the Democratic convention was when they wanted to include God or Israel. There were tremendous boos, include God or Israel in the campaign plank. And so the Democratic Party has made a vicious turn against the Jews, against Israel, and against God. And all I can say, I want to tell you a little something funny. I've been in Israel 50 years. I'm an American. I'm an Israeli citizen. I pay taxes in both countries. That's why I can run here in Israel. I never voted in American elections because I thought it would be unethical if I live in Israel to vote in an American election. But by God, when President Trump was running as a candidate, I voted for as an absentee ballot, along with 100,000 other Jewish Americans, for President Trump. And praise God, he won, we won.
Well, there's so much going on, and Mr. Lipkin, I sure appreciate you joining me today. Give our listeners an update. This is very crucial updates in Israel, and may God bless your efforts there, and in this new party, giving the Christians a voice there. And I'm looking forward to talking with you soon to get another update as this develops.
God bless you, and God bless America. God bless President Trump. God bless Prime Minister Netanyahu, and God bless Israel, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Lipkin.